Villa di Mazar, the endurance of an idea within the frame of architecture. In the mid-16th century, among the verdant hills of the Veneto, a plot of land nestled at the foot of a gentle slope in Mazar awaited its transformation. Once belonging to the noble families of Arbel and Giustiniani, the estate had now passed into the hands of two brothers from the influential Barbaro dynasty. Daniele and Marcantonio Barbaro were both distinguished figures in Venice. Daniele, Patriarch of Aquileia and a seasoned diplomat at the court of Elizabeth I of England, and Marcantonio, a statesman and ambassador to the court of Charles IX of France. In that era, owning a villa in the countryside was not merely a marker of wealth for Venetian aristocrats. It was a practical necessity for managing agricultural estates and an escape from the clamor of the great canals. Yet the Barbaros aspired to something beyond a lavish farmhouse. They envisioned a space that would embody the ideals of a balanced and contemplative life, a place where they could oversee their lands while retreating to the study of Virgil and Pliny, drawing intellectual and sensory pleasure from the surrounding nature. To realize this vision, they turned to the finest architect of their age, Andrea Palladio, the genesis of an extraordinary collaboration. Palladio, who had risen from humble beginnings as a stonecutter to become the preeminent architect of Venice through the patronage of the humanist scholar Gian Giorgio Trissino, began designing the villa in the early 1550s. However, what set this project apart from his other works was the nature of his patron. Daniele Barbaro was no mere wealthy benefactor. He was himself a humanist, a distinguished scholar of classical architecture, and a theorist of considerable repute, then engaged in producing a celebrated translation and commentary of Vitruvius's seminal treatise. The relationship between patron and architect transcended the conventional bounds of commission. In 1554, Palladio accompanied Daniele to Rome, where they undertook a joint study of ancient monuments. This shared expedition forged a profound theoretical foundation for both men, and its fruits were twofold. Not only the design of the villa, but also a landmark publication, Daniele's annotated translation of Vitruvius, for which Palladio executed the woodcut illustrations. This intellectual partnership placed Villa Barbaro at the crossroads of a new definition of rural architecture. Daniele's role was never confined to financing or selecting the architect. As a fellow thinker, he articulated the philosophical and iconographic framework of the villa. Historical evidence suggests that many of its distinctive features, particularly the emphasis on scientific and theological symbolism, emanated directly from his own scholarly interests. For instance, his fascination with astronomy and time measurement led him to install sundials and a water clock within the villa, elements that, at times, subtly disrupt the purely architectural harmony of Palladio's composition. Such interventions stand as tangible testimony to the patron's intellectual influence on the building's execution. Yet, it must not be forgotten that the final form and its material realization remained the craft and genius of Palladio. It was he who translated Daniele's classical erudition into an architectural language, giving rise to forms that have inspired architects across the centuries. In essence, Villa Barbaro is the outcome of a sustained dialogue between a discerning patron and a master architect, a dialogue in which both parties advanced side by side, dissolving the conventional boundaries between client and executor. Architecture the synthesis of function and grandeur. Palladio's foremost challenge was to reconcile a building's multiple functions, from aristocratic dwelling to agricultural storage and stables, within a unified composition. For the first time, he integrated the main residential block with two long columned wings, known as barches, along a coherent axis, creating a harmonious and cohesive whole. The influence of ancient Roman temples is unmistakable in the villa's facade. Four colossal Ionic columns support a pediment, endowing the central block with an air of ceremonial dignity. On either side, extended loggias terminate in two dovecote towers, their sundial faces marking the passage of time. 6 statues of Olympian deities and 2 imposing stone lions adorn the forecourt, while the Barbaro coat of arms, emblazoned above the roofline, stands as an emblem of peace and harmony. Palladio, however, did not confine himself to surface form. Exploiting the natural gradient of the hill, he created a nymphaium, a grotto and fountain, fed by a sophisticated hydraulic system that distributed water throughout the villa and its gardens. This technological innovation, which Palladio himself would later celebrate in his own architectural treatises, attests to his mastery of both art and engineering, painting, the illumination of walls. If Palladio imbued the villa with a classical soul, it was Paolo Veronese who breathed life into its walls. Between 1560 and 1561, Veronese covered 6 rooms of the Piano Nobile with a cycle of frescoes of extraordinary splendor, one of the most celebrated achievements of Venetian Renaissance painting. His illusionistic frescoes dissolved the boundaries of interior space, engaging in a visual dialogue with Palladio's architecture. In the central hall, the lady of the house appears painted upon a balcony, while gods and goddesses peer down from above, intensifying the grandeur of the room. Some critics have suggested that Veronese's exuberant pictorial art exists in a certain creative tension with Palladio's austere, rational classicism. Yet, in the final analysis, these two arts converge to create a synthesis of rare perfection. The legacy of an enduring idea, completed approximately between 1554 and 1558, Villa Barbaro was conceived for the use of Marcantonio's descendants, but its legacy extends far beyond that of a summer retreat. Today known as Villa di Macer, it became a model for a new type of rural residence and was inscribed on the UNESCO World Heritage List in 1996. Although the villa remains in private hands, owned by the descendants of Count Giuseppe Volpi, who purchased it in 1934, its doors are open to the public, inviting visitors to step into the heart of the Renaissance. They may walk among its columns, observe the precise workings of its ancient timepieces, and behold walls upon which the art of two geniuses, Palladio and Veronese, has been rendered eternal. Yet perhaps the most profound lesson of this villa lies in its reminder that the greatest works of art are born when a luminous idea emerges from the dialogue between enlightened minds, precisely as it did at Macer between Palladio and Daniele Barbaro.